Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 1778 of What You Up To Now, documenting the journey primarily since 2018, but 2017 when I came online, decided after my divorce and all the changes that happened with that, I wasn't really ready to retire. So I wanted to do something I'd never done before. And I'd always been interested in the internet, but never really had the opportunity to explore it before. Spent 40 plus years, more than that now, over a quarter century in corporate America, and 50, I hate to say 50, but almost 50 years building and growing and supersizing businesses of my own and with and for other people. So decided I wanted to explore what's this internet all about. And I hopped on and made like just about every mistake you can possibly make, and finally started to figure things out after making every mistake you could possibly make. And so now I help other people to do the same thing, how they create and build and supersize their businesses both on and off the internet, because I think you want to do both. I think we need to have more than just an online presence. So there's a lot of people that their entire business is based in the internet and in the online world. And our topic today, I think, is a really important one for those people especially to consider. I mean, I grew up in a world where there was no internet. I mean, the internet didn't come into play till I was about 31 years old. So over half my life has been without the internet and half my life with the internet. And as the internet has been changing and growing and morphing into what it is today. When it first started, it was mostly for us nerdy engineers and people that were into science and math and communication, and we shared different studies and things. And then it morphed into this, everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's got access to the internet, and it's impacted all of our lives. And I mean, this was, there was no social media back in the early 90s. I think the internet, I think they credit it with being started in about 1991 when my son was born. I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter. But our idiom today was to break the internet. We talked about the internet and the importance of it in our lives and in our businesses. And what would we do was one of our questions for the annual challenge if it ceased to exist. If there was no internet, what would you do and how would your life be changed? And the other question, I'm asking two questions for this year's annual challenge for every day of December, because I think we needed a little bit of a lighter end to the year, because we've covered a lot of heavy things over the course of this year. And we share a lot of tools and tips and strategies and things that we can do. And we've practiced and done a lot of different things to help us become a better version of ourselves. The challenge is all about how do I put things in place in different areas and aspects of my life so I'm always moving toward what I want and becoming the best and a continually improving better version of myself all the time. And I'm totally on board for that. So I've been doing the challenge right along with everyone. Here's my challenge book, and it's definitely well worn and used. But I thought, since I'm traveling this month and since December is a really busy month for the vast majority of us, and it's a good time to wrap up this year's goals and objectives and roll into and plan for next year, I wanted to have it be a little bit less of a burden for people. So we ask a rhetorical question every day, and today's was, let me grab my magnifying glass. It was about waiting. I thought it was pretty funny, actually. It's, if you're waiting for a waiter, aren't you the waiter? If you're waiting for a waiter, aren't you the waiter? And I think that that's funny because it's so true. You're waiting on the waiter. How often do we spend waiting on the waiter? Pretty often, most of the time, depending on where we are and what the service is. But I think it's important that we all think about the internet and the impact that it has on our life. The same thing with the media. In the 1980s, I was in a training and we were asked to give up the news and give up media for a week. And I never went back once I quit watching the news. And I used to watch the news every night, just like everybody else, because we were trained to do that. And I, as part of this training, met the challenge. I guess I've been doing challenges for decades too. And I didn't watch the news. And I realized I had so much more time and energy and positive mental space, even back in the 80s, that I never went back to watching it. And people, lots of people in my life would tease me and say, how do you know what's going on in the world? And I'm like, well, that was even before the internet. But now with the internet, we know what's going on in the world, whether we watch the news or not, whether we're exposed to it or not. And I think the most important thing that we can do is think for ourselves and ask ourselves, why are we hearing about this thing right now? Because there's so much stuff that's just designed, as online marketers and online business owners too, we realize how important attention is. It's probably the most valuable thing we can get is people's attention, time, energy, and attention to what we're doing. And so much of what is out in the world is just designed to divert our attention. So we don't pay attention to the things that are important to us. We pay attention to other things, like comparing ourselves to others or finding out what's going on halfway across the world and then being upset about it all day because it's such a horrible thing to have happen. But it really doesn't have any impact on our lives whatsoever, except it's negatively impacting us by giving energy to something that we shouldn't even be giving energy to. So we have to always ask ourselves, why am I seeing this? Why am I noticing this? If I'm noticing things that are making me upset, what is going on that I'm wanting to notice things that make me upset? We got to take personal responsibility for the things we do or don't do, all of our actions, etc. Yeah, I hope everybody does that, but I don't think that they do. So, fun questions today, light topic for Supersize Your Business. Although I think it can be kind of heavy because we have to take into consideration as business owners, especially if we're dependent on the internet, what happens if the internet breaks? Because I guarantee it's going to break sometimes. Everything goes down and breaks sometimes. Nothing is 100% reliable. And they'll tell you it's 99.95% reliable. But if it goes down on Christmas Eve and you're dependent on Christmas sales, or if it goes down on Black Friday, which I'm sure parts of the internet and people's websites broke on Black Friday. I know of a couple people's businesses that struggled on Black Friday because their website broke or their funnel broke or whatever. And is it the end of the world? No. You know what? There's always a solution if you're willing to look for it. So if I can help you in any way, hit me up, jamgrandma@gmail.com on Voxer, or you can Google search me or direct message me. If you're on Facebook, you can direct message me on this particular video. Otherwise, just have an awesome day, and I will be with you tomorrow.